And sets another day. Billions will kneel and pray. Anything to aid escape from the world so cold and gray.
And we're back.
We're here again
With another episode of Bones and Tubs. Here to infiltrate your ears for a delightful episode this week. I think this week's episode, I think we're going to... I feel like it's a little less... partisan. Is that a good word for it?
It is.
I think we're not. I think we taking a step back from our attack on either one side or the other, and just having ourselves a good old fashioned episode about advice.
It excites me though, the cryptocurrency aspect, because while it is nonpartisan, it does attack the one enemy we can all share, and that's central banking.
Yeah, as I say, after I was doing my research, I figured out that there wasn't, in fact, an angle at which to attack. But I doubt many of our listeners are all about that central banking lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't know many that are. And if they are, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. I want to hear the argument for central banking.
Well, they need them because they monies.
Yeah, right? But, okay, so, but before we get started on the big topic today, we have a couple smaller topics from listeners that sent them in, and we figured we'd tackle those ones first and then go into the big boy. But, anything going on this week in the news there, Bones?
Oh, man, I don't know.
Well, I mean, some building, burned in London.
I was talking about that. What did that happen last night or yesterday?
Yeah.
Elmo messaged me last night, and I said, these fucking Buddhist terrorists have got to be stopped, you know?
Right. Have they put blame on somebody?
No, but every story I saw, they had a Muslim on there talking about how he escaped, so it's kind of leaning towards it, just a house fire. And then Not a Doctor, Doug Hurdy messaged me and said, I wonder if the building will collapse under its own footprint.
Yeah, I like the Building 7 aspect of it. I mean, that building burned for hours in a towering inferno and didn't collapse. So,
well, the only difference is the owner of the building, the lifetime leaseholder probably didn't stand to make $1 billion, so they didn't, quote-unquote, pull it.
There's that, too. Well, whatever.
Apples and oranges.
Whatever. But,
various round fruits.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, because during my week, I get a lot of people that contact me or get a hold of me just to ask me, well, what do you think about this week or that? Or, because I know between our last show and now, there was the Comey interviews. And everyone was asking me, what did you think about what Comey said and all this? And here's what I thought about what Comey said. He said virtually nothing we didn't know already.
Right.
Okay. To me, it wasn't even really news. It was just a bunch of old dudes jacking each other off.
As it always is.
Yeah. Nobody's going to get in trouble for anything. Everybody's going to keep getting to do what they want to do, and Comey's probably going to get some sweet book deal.
And Comey's not going to die in a car fire.
Exactly. But if it was the other way around, he might have died in a car fire.
Right.
Here or there.
Just Google search Cop of the Year, the cop that was going to testify about Oklahoma City bombings. He was going to Congress, and they found him with rope burns on his wrist, and he killed himself.
Nice. Well, whatever.
No
right?
problem.
Yeah, no big deal.
I like John. Wait, do we have a nickname?
Yeah, he's the Polish Nightmare.
Polish Nightmare had a meme he posted on the 9th about the Comey thing. And basically, it was a starting belief, I believe in Donald Trump, and then your options are, did nothing wrong, is more of the same, obstructed justice, and then we move into Comey testimony. The did nothing wrong confirms that he did nothing wrong. The it's more of the same asks what's on ESPN, and the obstructed justice confirmed that he has obstructed justice. Yeah. So basically it's just confirmation bias all the way across.
More or less. I mean, it's like I said, nothing that Comey did really, nothing shocked me. You know what I mean? He didn't come on and say, ooh, whoa, actually, Bill Clinton threatened to kill me if I didn't drop the cases on Hillary Clinton.
And
nothing like that.
He's got bodies.
Yeah. We gotta stop him.
Yeah.
We gotta stop him.
Is it just me, or when you watch Comey talk, can you fully visualize him wearing pantyhose and high-heeled shoes under that desk.
I can't imagine that, but I also imagine that at every single point he's talking, he's almost ready to fall asleep.
Yeah, he's really tired.
He always looks like he's really, really tired.
The older you get, the more like a baby you become.
Like, dude, you just need to take a nap right now.
He just ate a bottle, and he's nodding out.
Call me sleepy.
Call me tired.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't really think there was anything else that was, like, crazy going on out there in the world.
No. The only thing more tired than Comey is me. I'm tired of the bullshit.
Yeah.
Just give me real news.
Aren't we all?
Eat a dip.
But yeah. So I guess we get on to these topics we got today. First one comes from a new contributor. He preferred to be called the Frisbee Thrower.
Ooh.
And
I've seen videos.
he's kind of got
really good.
He's kind of got two questions going on, but I'm going to go ahead and just I'm not going to sling them together. I'm going to sling them separate. But his first question was, how many guns is too many guns to own? And how much is too much to spend on a gun case? Well,
I've a simple method for this. How many rooms are in your house?
Yeah.
That's my method. You know,
that's how many guns you should have.
How many times have you watched a movie where somebody's like eating popcorn with the family and they get tied up on the couch and they didn't have a revolver stuffed in the couch?
Yeah.
Or they didn't have a gun behind the air intake from their HVAC.
Now, as I say, air intake and HVAC sounds a little bit more up my alley at this point. I have a kid.
Yeah.
And my kid likes to explore.
Through the couch, yeah.
Yeah, as I say, if I put a gun in the couch, he's going to find it.
Right.
You know, but if I put it, like, say, in, like you said, in the HVAC, in the filter or something,
yeah,
he's not going to find it there.
Hide it Anne Frank style somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hide it like I'm hiding my precious jewelry.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought about this and I said, I might piss off a couple listeners when I say this. I think, in all reality, if you've got more than 8 guns in your house, you might have a problem.
If you've got really, I mean, more than 8 full rooms, you probably could hire security staff.
Exactly.
I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I only have 6. I have 6 guns.
Mm.
And I think that's a good amount. I mean, considering there's only 2 grown adults who are capable of firearms living in my house, I think that's plenty of guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've got 5.
I mean, listen, I would never knock
6.
on anybody for owning more than 8, but for your average American, I think 8 would be bordering on excess.
See, but I mean, though, then that goes into the second part of the question about the gun safe. You know? I mean, you would want to spend enough money to know that if your house burned down, their guns are going to be fine.
That, or if someone tries to break into it, you would literally either wake up in time to know they're breaking into it because it would take so long to break into it.
As they sparked up the oxyacetylene torch.
Yeah, you would know it was about to happen, which I don't know how smart it is to try to break into a gun case with an oxyacetylene torch.
This isn't the 90s anymore. We don't have safe crackers, I don't feel like.
No, there's too much shit going on. Too much electronic shit.
Right.
But,
I would say, I mean, I don't know the current market for gun safes, but
generally, if you're going to buy a good gun safe, from what I've seen, you're going to be dropping at least close to $3,000 for at least a decent one.
So, as they would say in the streets, like 3 bands.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, three stacks.
I mean, you can get cheaper ones, but if you get one under $1,000, you're only going to be able to fit like 2 rifles and maybe you could put a shitload of handguns in there, but because of shotguns and rifles, you might only fit 2 in there.
Yeah. Be a man. Spend about $3,000.
Yeah, because you're gonna want something heavy and indestructible.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if every single movie we've ever seen involving some sort of armory catching on fire, it always ends in disaster. Wouldn't you want something that wouldn't end in disaster?
Right. What was a movie? It was a cartoon with a boy that found a robot in like a junkyard.
The Iron Giant?
I want my gun safe to look like the Iron Giant's dick.
That'd be awesome.
You know?
I could dig it.
But that probably wouldn't, like you said, it wouldn't exceed $3,000.
No. Like I said, I'd say from what I've seen, about $3,000 on a gun case. Like, let's say you have that 8 plus or around 8 guns.
Yeah.
You're gonna need something that's about $3,000.
Do you ever install anything in your bed frame like Alonzo did in Training Day, where you got like the sawed off on the swivel mount?
You know, I saw, like, and I've seen other things where, like, there's stuff built into the headboard. You can, like, knock it, and it'll drop a shotgun on you.
That's pretty gangster.
And I saw that, and I see those things, and I think, those are cool.
I'd like to get knocked out by a 12 gauge at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, that's what I say. I toss and turn and fucking do all sorts of crazy shit in my sleep. I was like, I'm going to fucking hit that thing wrong, and the shotgun's going to land right in my fucking forehead.
Pow! Yeah.
That's what I want to feel at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning.
It's better than folders, really.
Oh, yeah, I bet. A loaded shotgun cracking you right in the dome.
Right in the fucking mouth.
But yeah, I'd say about $3,000 and 8 guns. I mean, I'm more concerned about the ammo than the guns.
Yeah, you don't want to run out.
What's a gun without ammo?
An expensive paperweight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta headbutt people, like, you gotta butt stroke people with it, because that's what it's gonna be good for.
Take over the world pistol whipping bitches.
Exactly. That ain't gonna happen. So I would suggest hone in on not the amount of guns you have, but the amount of ammo, and to an extent, just for preparation's sake, the amount of proficiency you have with said guns.
Yeah.
You want to get to Roland Deschain levels of proficiency with your guns.
Yeah, the white Roland Deschain, not the
Idris Elba version.
No.
It's whatever.
He's not even a gunslinger.
No. He says he's not a gunslinger, so why would he be? But anyways, I mean, like, for me, for example, I only own one handgun. And it's a revolver, because I prefer revolvers. I think it's whatever you feel comfortable using. I mean, I know my podcasting partner, he prefers the semi-autos, the pistols. And that's whatever. I'll dig a pistol, but for me, I like a nice revolver.
Very no-nonsense.
Yeah.
Very little can go wrong.
Yeah, there's the works are easier to figure out, and it's like my grandpa always said, if you can't take care of your business in 6 shots, then you have no business shooting in the first place.
True gunslinger.
Yeah. So that's why I carry a revolver. Plus, like I said, I'm more comfortable with one, and the one I use is it's a police revolver.
Yeah.
From back in the day. It's got a nice taper barrel on it, and it's accurate as hell.
How far back in the day are we talking? Are we talking like fire hoses and dog attacks back in the day, or?
Probably just after that. I'd say this is at least a 1970s 38.
Okay.
I mean, it's older, but it shoots just fine.
Nice.
For being older. And it's, like I said, it's a police model, so
Can't go
got
wrong.
a taper barrel for quick drawing.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. But
It's good.
But yeah, I mean, it's whatever you feel comfortable with having. Like, I mean, if you got to bug out, you can't really take all those more than, I'd imagine, even with 2 adults, you're only going to be able to transport probably 2 large guns and maybe a handful of handguns, and that's it. So that 8 mark is about where you're going to be sitting at, probably.
Right. It's always good, though, to have those cats like Red, White, and Justin that are ready to arm a militia at any moment.
Oh, yeah, you want guys like that around. Those dudes are going to dig in, though. They ain't going nowhere.
Right, and they've got a plantation of sorts.
Exactly. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to leave. They're digging in deep.
Balls deep.
Yeah. And staying where they're at. They're going to stay in their ground instead of bugging out, which is whatever.
Yeah.
But
it's all about personal preference, you know.
And then the other question he asked us was, is it acceptable for a man to wear a robe in his home with children, even if it is a manly color?
Listen, I don't know if he's familiar with our previous body of work, but I wrote down a very short answer to this. Porky Pig.
Yeah. I said yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much to it. I don't know which guy frisbee thrower is telling you it's not manly to wear a robe in the house.
I bet they've got a fucking man bun.
I bet you they do too.
Maybe a he-hive.
I bet you they fucking firmly sculpt their beard too, don't they?
Yeah, they've got beard sense.
They fucking straighten their beard and put some beard oil in it and all sorts of shit.
But they think doctors should give away 70% of their income too.
Exactly.
You know? I'm just making assumptions.
Just making assumptions. We're trying not to be too partisan in this episode, but
right.
I'm going to go ahead and say anybody that tells you that wearing a robe isn't manly, that's the thing that kills me. And I'll agree to an extent with the identity polls on this one is you don't have to accept someone else's version of manly.
No.
It's your own version of manly.
It's your house, it's your castle.
Now, there is definable aspects of manliness.
Right.
It's not like you can just say whatever you want is manly. No.
Right.
There are things that are unmanly.
Yeah.
But I don't like to define that. You find your own boundaries on that one.
Find your own bliss and chase it.
Yeah. Use common sense.
Even with children in the house, too, it reminded me of a previous show where we said, is it like sort of a duty of a father to, quote unquote, accidentally let your son see your dick at one point, so he thinks you have the biggest dick in the universe.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that really psychologically will fuck them up throughout their teenage rebellion.
Think about it like this: our grandfathers and our great grandfathers, after fucking beating the shit out of Nazis and Japs and anybody else that got in our way,
Yeah.
would come home from these wars, hug their children, their wives, and bang their wives.
Missionary position.
Then go to bed, and then wake up the next morning and put on their robe while they ate their breakfast and drank their coffee.
Mm.
Okay, if those men were allowed to wear robes, you're allowed to wear a robe.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all there is to it. You should feel privileged to wear a robe, in fact, because you're wearing a robe like other men have worn before you.
You know who else wore robes?
Who?
Royalty.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you was king, right?
You was Kangz and shit.
And sheet.
Yeah. Fucking A.
But
I love bringing that up in conversation.
I know, right?
Feels good.
Yeah, it does. Speaking of, not to interject real quick, but speaking of We Was Kings, I saw an article the other day. Someone had posted where they did genetic testing on over 300 mummies from the New Kingdom. And guess what they found out?
What?
That their descendants are from the Levant and East Asia, like West Asia, like.
So in Africa?
No.
Oh.
So like the Middle East.
Yeah.
Huh. So they weren't black people, like some people have said in the past.
So we wasn't Kangz.
We wasn't kings.
Oh.
Not of Egypt, anyways. I mean, you gotta assume somebody else was a king somewhere.
Right.
But not Egypt. You didn't build the pyramids. Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw that in there real quick because I just read that the other day, and people probably. I know there's people out there that be up in arms about that. And don't get me wrong, for an extent, I kind of believed it for a minute too.
I did too. They got me.
They got me good because they gave me some evidence that I thought this is. I mean, they took me at my most vulnerable when I was very distrustworthy of the government and the status quo in general.
Yeah,
and
which happens, every couple days, or
and thought that everything they told me was a lie.
Yeah,
so I had to assume that also things like that were a lie as well.
They got me with the. Because there is, like, blanket silly-ass racism throughout history.
Yeah.
They got me with the Sphinx getting the nose shot off.
Yeah.
So, like, the whites had to cover that up.
Yeah, I don't believe that either.
I mean, I don't either. But, like I said, it's one of those times where you're...
Exactly. And I thought that, too. And, like, with their statues and all sorts of shit, they just tried to cover up history. But that was just... just some nonsense.
Whatever. At least we're doing what we can. Some people call it flip-flop, and I call it learning and growing.
Exactly. I admitted fault. They gave me evidence that led me to believe that, Egyptians were black. Sub-Saharan. Let's call them Sub-Saharan. That Egyptians were Sub-Saharan. And the evidence was compelling. And like I said, they hit me at a time when I was deeply distrustful of the government and didn't think anything they did was true. So I had to assume, okay, so if that's not true, then, they're knocking noses off of statues and, they say that they're these types of people for all this time, but they're in Africa, so it would make more sense if they were Sub-Saharan. But no.
They weren't.
They weren't.
Nope. And it proves that we're not racist because we gave that theory some legs to stand on,
Some deep credence. I've educated people on that shit before. Now, that's not to say that there is a possibility. Mind you, this was all from the New Kingdom. Okay. It's not to say that somewhere along the line there wasn't some other shit going on.
Yeah.
But at least we know, at least for a big chunk of Egyptian history, they were from the Levant. And they weren't Sub-Saharan. So.
Well, that's your update.
Yeah. Update on that.
Yeah.
I'll be back with you on the whole Egyptian thing here in a couple more years, probably.
Now you can just sit back and enjoy the We Was Kangz memes.
Yeah. Oh, I've enjoyed them already. That was already.
I meant these guys, out here, guys and girls.
White, brown, black, or yellow, or red, or whatever you are.
Sit back and raff.
I don't mind knocking anybody down a peg or two.
Yeah, especially myself.
Yeah.
Self-deprecation.
Yeah, I self-deprecate on a daily basis, so I don't know what you think I'm doing.
Right.
But, alright, so we got your topics out there, Frisbee Thrower. Yeah, it's manly to wear a fucking robe. Don't let anybody try to, chase your bliss on that shit. You want to wear a fucking robe? Wear a robe.
We actually was Kangz.
I have a robe. I own a robe. Okay? So, there you go. But, our next question comes from, of course, I couldn't go an episode without doing a question from Our Lady.
She's the foundation of this entire endeavor.
She is the proverbial St. Peter of this operation.
Yeah.
The rock of the church, if you will.
St. Peterless.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Bang.
I like that.
Yeah.
St. Catherine the Peterless.
Yeah.
But she asked us, what is the worst disease you can contract? Lethal and non-lethal.
Lyme disease.
Lyme disease is pretty bad, gnarly, non-lethal disease.
I've been doing a lot of reading and researching on this after a few Joe Rogan podcasts.
Yeah.
And there are a number of things. Just a quick little sidebar here. Along with that, they don't know exactly how many things are affected by Lyme disease. And it showed up in Lyme County, which is right off the coast of a government bioweapons lab.
Yeah.
So let that take you where it will.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you know about, I'm going to get the name wrong. I think it's Toxemia plasmosis. It's that.
Toxic plasmosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit's fucking gangster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it develops only in cats' stomachs. Yeah. It changes the fear mechanism in a rat's brain into sexual attraction to be attracted to the smell of cat urine. Right. So, I heard about this on the Joe Rogan recently.
Yeah.
But it helps the rat by increasing the sex drive. Mm-hmm. Okay? And it also helps the cats keep them full bellies.
Yeah.
Get the germs back in the cat, full life cycle. But when people get it, it rewires their brains to give them an inhibition of fear. They say something like upper 60% of Brazilian men have this disease.
Huh.
Which explains a lot of their forward aggression and risk-taking.
Yeah, I've never been... I've had cats, so theoretically I've been exposed to toxic plasmosis. And I'm very fearful.
Yeah.
I bought a pool yesterday and filled it up, and it was freezing ice cold because it takes a little while to warm up. And last night I decided I wanted to christen it, cold or not. And it took me a good probably 4 or 5 minutes for me to just nut up and dunk under that water.
How do you feel today, though, with the cold shock proteins fully active in your brain?
I actually feel pretty good this morning.
Yeah.
No stiffness or pain or anything
what about emotionally? You got a higher threshold for pleasure?
Definitely.
Yeah. Cold shock.
Yeah. For real. It was good. It was a good time.
Yeah.
I suggest it. But, lethal disease? You know, and I know they're non-lethal one, but technically I guess it kind of goes both ways that I've read about before that I don't think anybody gets it anymore, but at its time, it sounds like it would be horrible. It was cholera.
Yeah.
The shitting disease.
Yeah.
The shit death.
I think we've joked about that before. That's got to be one of the worst ways to die.
Yeah.
Slow, just slow diarrhea death.
And you can't stop it, and you just leak all the time. It sounds wholly unpleasant.
You can't trust your asshole at that point.
No.
Because it will tell you it's just a fart.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not just a fart.
The worst part is if it goes too far, you're literally just shitting out your intestines.
Ooh, I've never done that.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Yeah, thank God. But, and lethal, well, I would say, in this day and age, you can't say AIDS anymore, though, man. There's, medication for that shit.
Unless you're doing intravenous drug use with a shared needle or having, risky homosexual sex, bloodborne is really the only way you're getting that.
But even then, it's the medicine will keep you alive.
Right.
So I don't really even consider it lethal anymore.
You live like a full Magic Johnson life.
I guess cancer. It's cancer. Cancer's a disease.
Fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer, dude.
Yeah. I wish cancer was a person.
I know a lot of people that fucking died of cancer. It's a horrible fucking disease, and it takes people's lives, and it's horrible to watch people wither away from it.
You know what I find more disgusting than cancer? Companies that promote that pink ribbon.
Oh.
I find that more disgusting than cancer.
You mean like the breast cancer awareness?
Pepsi, all these fucking cancer-causing companies that have this shit in their food, you know?
That brandish the pink ribbon?
Yeah, they're like, well, buy Pepsi and drink it and you'll support breast cancer awareness. Listen, motherfucker, if you buy a 24-pack of Pepsi a week, guess who's probably going to get breast cancer?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, and plus, there's a documentary out there it's about the Susan G. Komen Foundation.
Yeah.
That's all about the fact that, unfortunately, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, which is the Pink Ribbon Foundation, is a big old scam.
I'd like to do a show eventually on those.
But fake fake scammy charities.
Yeah, there's a website that is they actually rate them, and they tell you every statistic about them, like how much money goes to the cause, how much money goes to the board, how much the CEO makes.
Oh, that sounds like a good time for next week's episode since it got brought up.
Yeah, it's a good one. Look at us. We're blazing the trail.
Yeah, unless anything comes up that seems of much more grand and important import than this.
Well, it looks like, we were going to talk about fake charities, but they bombed New York with a nuke, so
Oh, no.
we got to change the subject.
So we got to start talking about New York history so it's preserved forever in podcasting format.
Right, it's always going to float around out there like the Black Knight satellite.
Exactly. But, well, all right then. I think we need to just go ahead and, what did we say? We said Lyme disease and cancer?
Yeah.
I think cancer.
Diarrhea was funny, though. It reminded me of that new Dave Chappelle stand-up where he's like, imagine back in the day before they had medicine for this shit, and you just woke up and you're like, oh, I can't do nothing. I'm done. I'm done. Diarrhea.
Well, like back in the day, like if you were to look at people's histories, like I want to think of one like Theodore Roosevelt or somebody. Basically, like they would get sick with something and then they convalesce for like 6 months.
Yeah.
So like imagine getting cholera. And back in the day, you would get it. You'd be bedridden for like weeks, and then you'd start getting over it, but you would still just convalesce for like another 3 or 4 months. Like
all bad.
And if you read histories from that time, it was a very common thing just to like check out from normal life for months on end when you got sick.
Yeah.
And basically said, I got to get better again before, like they would allow themselves to get back to 100% before re-entering society.
If not, I'll die.
Yeah.
And I'll spread all my ass germs.
But yeah, so thanks for the question, St. Catherine. Thanks for the question, Frisbee Thrower.
Thank you.
And I think it's on to our main topic of the day, which is cryptocurrency.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I think this is kind of lightweight suggested to us from our friend...
Aaron the Red.
Was it Aaron the Red?
I believe
I
so.
thought maybe our friend
Nikolai.
Okay, on to cryptocurrency. Would you like to give us a little backstory on cryptocurrency to start out with?
Personal story or history of?
Let's do you kind of, can you do a mold, mix them together?
I can do a new segment in the show of things that made me want to kill myself.
Okay, all right, yeah.
In this week's edition of things that make me want to kill myself are back in, let's see, Bitcoin first came out on October 31st, 2008, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't find out about it until 2010.
Yeah, it's probably about when I found out about it too.
Pretty sure that was around the time that Silk Road was a big thing on the deep web. Mm-hmm. Silk Road, for those of you who are not initiated in the ways of creepy agro-capitalism, or anarcho-capitalism?
Anarcho-capitalism.
Okay, so for those of you that aren't hip to the ways of anarcho-capitalism, Silk Road was a website you could go to on the deep web, and it was like Amazon for everything fucked up. You could get any drug, and they would like ship it to you in a CD case or like a fucking teddy bear, and you could have hitmen for hire. You could get child porn, if that's your thing. You could do anything.
On the Silk Road.
And the only currency that they used was Bitcoin because it's completely untraceable.
Yeah.
So I started looking into this Bitcoin thing. At the time, I don't have the exact numbers, but there's only a certain amount of Bitcoin in existence, right?
Yeah.
So you can't just pump it like the Federal Reserve central banking bullshit.
Yeah.
There's only ever going to be a certain amount of it, and I think it's next year they're supposed to release a certain amount into the market. But when it started out, 2 years after it came out, when I found out about it in 2010, anybody really with a computer could mine Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And mining is a term, basically, it's like if you think about going to the gas station and buying a 6-pack, or whatever it is you buy there, and you swipe your credit or debit card, you're running a transaction that goes instantaneously to a building in fucking New York City somewhere, and that building is just filled with servers. Well, the servers do a quick check for the amount of money being processed for the purchase, running it against your bank account ledger. Once it approves the funds, it does the transaction. Approved, right? So mining was you running your computer in a blockchain, pretty much, allowing, your computer to act as one of the collective servers to run information through. So people are trading Bitcoin, and you're allowing your computer to process the transaction. And after a certain period of mining, you would get a bit of Bitcoin into your wallet. Well, in 2008, Bitcoin was fractions of a dollar. You could get, people were getting like, 10, 20 a day, maybe more.
Yeah.
Just into their wallets. Because it was nothing. It was easy. It wasn't really going on.
Yeah.
And you could, like I said, the thing that made me want to kill myself was in 2010, I could have either mined or bought them for a dollar a piece, right?
Yeah.
If I had invested $1,000 into Bitcoin in 2010, or just allowed myself to mine 1,000, as of right now, I would have the ability and buying power of $2.6 million. Anybody that's interested in the pricing of cryptocurrency should download the app CoinCap, and it shows you in real time all of the cryptocurrencies.
Nice.
Now, Bitcoin's like the most...
It's because it's the OG cryptocurrency.
Right. It's like the most prolific, but there are 558 that are on CoinCap.
Nice.
A lot of these are scams, pump and dump, where people put money into it. I think it's a way to launder money.
Yeah.
Also, but they have some like there's one called Vegas Coin, and it's a certain type of cryptocurrency that's only available to like closed communities. So you could use it in Vegas, and what happens in Vegas really does stay in Vegas.
Nice.
You don't have to like scrub your bank account or
have your wife come in. What did you buy?
Exactly.
But yeah, I find the whole like concept of cryptocurrency, like when I started researching it, I thought, I was like, this is an issue that doesn't seem like it would really affect, like, it's not really partisan. But then I started getting into it more. I was like, wait a minute, this is partisan. I was like, it's just not the same kind of partisan I'm used to.
Yeah, not the fake left and right arguments.
Yeah, this is
real.
This is anarcho-capitalism in action, more or less. I mean,
and it's thriving.
And a shout out to the Agarist girl.
Yeah,
it's it's agorism.
I need to get some Bitcoin, or the second one right now is Ethereum. I might have said that wrong. Yeah. Ethereum. It's coming in at a close second. Not close, but $371 per one. But I would like to find a website. She sent me a Kim Jong-un romper link, and I would like to buy that with cryptocurrency.
That'd be nice.
Only wear that.
But it kind of goes with their notions about not partaking in the common economy,
right?
In the normal free market economy, and creating your own black market economy with everything. And cryptocurrency is kind of the way to do that.
The neat thing about it is, too, the wallets. Like, you have your different wallets you can use. And I haven't quite nailed it down yet, because some of them aren't secure at all, and the last thing I want to do is invest money and have it stolen.
Yeah.
But you could, like, literally, as far as I understand, you could memorize your address and your password. So you don't even physically have to have an item.
Nice.
But I've also seen things like tech where they're working on these little CAPTCHA creator keychains where you just hit the button and it brings up a CAPTCHA of your Bitcoin address and password, and you scan it at a gas station, and it would, if they sold in Bitcoin, like Overstock.com, a bunch of bigger name websites and stores are starting to take Bitcoin.
Does Amazon take Bitcoin yet?
I don't know. One thing to look out for on the Bones and Tub show, though, is on the website we're going to have a Bitcoin wallet that you can, if you want to support the anarcho-capitalist side of our show and our lifestyle, you could donate Bitcoin.
Make this a full-fledged anarcho-capitalist podcast.
Yeah, not just get us out of the hamster wheel, but get us out of the fucking central banking system.
The whole loop itself.
We will be a bastion of freedom for you and yours.
Which, not to sidetrack for a minute, but I've been doing more research just into the notions of what I am in the bigger scheme of things, like when it comes to my politics. And I came to something, I don't know. I still at heart believe I'm a libertarian, right?
Yeah.
But according to this one thing I looked at, I'm what they call a classic liberal.
Yeah, the ones that seek knowledge.
I'm a classic liberal, like in the sense that
Thomas Jefferson liberal.
Yeah, but like I don't know if I could call myself an anarcho-capitalist, because an anarcho-capitalist believes that private organizations should basically take care of everything, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think that certain services, i.e. fire and what else was there? There was a couple like public services I thought these things are necessary for function to be run by the government. And that made me a classic liberal. It excluded education. That's where my side ended.
That's your line in the sand.
That's my line in the sand where it said that I don't, as a classic liberal, my part ends in education. So...
Well, I mean, we've seen it not too long ago in our history, was it like the 50s or the 60s maybe, where you had to have like a fire bond or fire insurance?
Yeah.
And you'd have like a brick or something on a building that specified whether or not you were part of the system that paid into the fire, and if the firemen pulled up and your shit's on fire and you didn't have that, they were going to watch your shit burn.
You see, and that's where I kind of like, maybe this should be put into unbiased hands.
Right.
Because we've seen, like, to an extent, we know anarcho-capitalism in this country already. Like, there were services that weren't public, even in the major cities till after the turn of the century, i.e. fire and stuff like that. Like, I'm reminded of a movie, Gangs of New York, where there's a scene where there's this building on fire, and this was a time when the fire departments were, like, voluntary, but they were also, like, ruthless gangs.
Yeah.
So that these two different fire departments show up at the same place, and instead of, like, you know, now it'd be like, hey, let's work together to put this fire out.
Right.
They fought over the turf and was like, this is our territory. You can't come here and put out this fire.
As the building burns.
Yeah, more or less.
That's somewhat how our local fire departments operate. I used to be a volunteer fireman, and it was just, the rival city were all drunks, according to us, and they would show up drunk, and I watched one of them fall through a building because he was just stumbling around on top of a burning barn and fell through it. But then in the same token, I mean, it's just guys jerking each other off because we were in a tanker truck on a hill next to the Polish Nightmare's house.
Oh, okay.
And this guy I was riding with put on the quote-unquote parking brake on the fucking hill, and there was no parking brake, and we fucking shot backwards in a tanker truck full of water and almost flipped over and died because there's no such thing as seatbelts.
Oh, jeez.
But kind of dates me because I'm sure now they all have seatbelts and parking brakes.
Yeah.
But whatever.
That's whatever, right? But no, I mean...
But they're the bad ones. They're not in our gang.
Because, like I said, you call me a statist. You call me a statist if you want to say, I think that the government should run the fire services and stuff like that. But it ends at those kinds of services.
Yeah.
Like, they shouldn't be in charge of anything else because they're terrible at it.
Right. Well, even...
I think it goes around the lines of fire department, military, and there's two more things, and for the life of me, I cannot think of them. I want to say maybe it has to do with public works like water. And then one more thing. Everything else should be private. Because they start fucking things up and start injecting their own sensibilities, especially in, like, education.
Oh, yeah. Like,
the thing is, like, they inject their own sensibilities and their own doctrines into education.
My favorite story about education and how it will affect, if we didn't pay for it, it'd be different, right?
Yeah.
But, like, parents, when we first nationalized education and forced education of children up to a certain age, the National Guard had to come and, like, point guns at parents.
Yeah.
And take their kids and put them in school. Because the parents at the time weren't fucking dumbed down and they knew just what was happening. Yeah. We're going to indoctrinate your babies.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's basically what happened. Like, it's not to say, though, here's the inlying problem, and I would still see where this would be a problem. If education is private, I mean, even now, education that's private now, for the most part, has an endgame goal. At least, but here's the thing. At least when it comes to private schools, they may have an endgame goal, but they make you fully aware of what it is.
Right.
I.e., it's a Catholic school. So assume they are going to turn them into fish eaters.
They're going to make them into people that hate religion.
Yeah.
Because of the, authoritarian child beating.
Yeah.
Most of the people I've heard that are staunch atheists grew up in Catholic schools.
Well, I mean, I can't say much. My aunt, she's a Catholic school teacher, so. Oh. Yeah. But she's...
I wasn't...
no, you're all right. No, it's all good. Don't let your head explode on that one. I'm not triggered. Don't worry.
Just a mild nosebleed.
It takes a lot more than that to trigger me.
I understand.
But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised though. But I don't think it has to do with the teachers or anything like that. I think it's more about the religion itself,
Right.
and kind of leaving a bad taste in your mouth, and that, no pun intended.
Works itself out.
No pun intended on that one.
No priest jokes.
Yeah, don't you dare.
Don't you do it.
Don't do it. I can't do it. You might be able to do it.
I can definitely do it. We went to the Polish Nightmare's wedding, and it was a beautiful ceremony, and I was glad to witness it, right? Mm-hmm. But, I mean, Tubbs can attest that I was making magician jokes the entire time because these fucking guys are up there dressed like magicians.
Yeah.
And a frisbee thrower.
And I just kept making Dark Tower jokes.
Right.
I don't know this man, Jesus.
Right. And frisbee thrower, this is not a good time to talk about robes because these guys, they hide only one thing under those robes, and that's an erection for your child.
I was going to say little boys, but, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the worst part was they couldn't even... They had an altar boy up there, too, and I was just
like,
did they really need him up there?
Right.
There's a lot of non-Catholics in this room right now, and you're going to have an altar boy up there.
It's cute.
Way to perpetuate your myths about child abuse.
I like to watch the one magician perform the ceremony, and then the other magician was just overseeing, and every time I looked at him, he was staring at that altar boy, smiling his ass off. Mm-hmm. Uncomfortable.
Right. But yeah, I mean... But there's other, like, kinds of private schools that you have to kind of raise an eyebrow at and ask them, like... Well, like, a perfect example is, like, charter schools. Okay, charter schools are, like, kind of these test schools where it's, like... It's supposed to be a non-biased private school system, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that, you know, they've come to find out... At first, they tried to make it sound like, oh, this is awesome. Look at these test scores. They're doing so great on these tests, and they're so much better than regular public schools, and da-da-da-da. We'll come to find out that that because they didn't have a lot of governmental oversight, they were fudging the numbers.
Oh, of course.
Make themselves look better. So you got to take up both sides with a grain of salt on this one and try to figure out. You got to find some. Basically, this is what you got to create the Jedi Order of public education, where they are unbeholden to any organization but themselves, and also they're extremely virtuous and not child molesters.
Right.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah. I think too, though, I have a serious distaste, and I don't know how this will shake with any people that listen to the show that are actually in education, but I feel like the entire system needs to be destroyed.
It needs to be changed.
I mean, it's a fact that it was brought about by industrialists to create factory workers.
To create drones.
Right.
Yeah. I mean...
And is that a difference in the private schools? Are they teaching, like, the trivia method?
See, I don't think so. I think they're probably teaching the same exact thing.
Do we got to pay like $160,000 a year to find a school?
You have to find a private school that rich people go to that's basically like a boarding school.
Right.
Where they will actually teach them the things that the different way they used to teach, i.e. the trivium, and in different methods of thought, instead of just literally just spewing facts at them and indoctrinating them into the system that makes them good worker bees.
Right.
Instead of actual thinkers.
Yeah.
Like, maybe at the end of the day, I think what they need to realize is that even if they changed the way they did things and allowed people to learn in that fashion, it's not going to create some crazy-ass revolt.
Right.
Like, people are just going to understand the world needs ditch jiggers, too. They're not just going to go crazy.
Right.
People are comfortable with being farmers and ditch diggers and all sorts of other things.
Right, but it goes back into the thing like before, you know, you could be a farmer or a ditch digger, but you also had the ability to, like, birth an animal, or, you know, you had a wide mental tool belt of things, and you used the trivia method regardless of what you did in order to learn every single trade you could.
And you know what I think it is, and it's like you said, being able to learn more trades, and also I think it's the fact that kind of method allowed poor people to be at least intellectually almost on par with rich people.
Yeah, we can't have that, you know?
Like, and I think that's what made I think that's why they changed it. They got scared by the fact that we were able to be on par with them intellectually speaking.
Right. Now, I have to withdraw some of my Catholic shit talking because I forgot she wrote this book, but in my weekly book shout out that sometimes happens and sometimes doesn't, I found out about the book called The Trivium, The Liberal Arts of Logic, Grammar, and Rhetoric, and it's written by Sister Miriam Joseph.
Oh.
Go on out there and pick it up on Amazon.com.
But yeah, so
get your learn on.
I know we got off the path there for a moment,
as we will.
But I think it was necessary because we kind of got into a deeper discussion about what all this really meant. But
right.
to put it plainly with Bitcoin, invest your money in it if you want to. Because the thing is if you really wanted to move towards a more, a system that helps everybody and it invests you. And I think this is the whole point of, the way I like to do things is that it requires more diligence on my part, and it keeps me working hard instead of just relying on others to do my work for me. Mm. And this is
self-reliance.
Exactly. And that's, if I could preach anything at the end of the day, if you get anything from this show in its whole history, please try to be more self-reliant.
Yeah, with everything.
Don't rely on the government to give you things. Don't ever think that if you get a paycheck today, you're going to get it tomorrow too.
Right.
Because governments have taught us one thing over its course, and they will fuck you. I'm
not saying that Tubbs or I have ever or will ever work for a governmental agency, but did you see that story on Facebook today of the all this Ohio government Senate speech talking about removing money from the retirement fund?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did see that.
That's fine. They did it in California, I think, too.
Yeah, it's whatever, right?
Federal pensions.
It's their money, supposedly.
Thank God we work in a factory, and not a state organization.
Exactly. Thank God we work in the factory status instead of the state organization that's about to get fucked in the butt.
I would much rather be a podcaster.
Yeah, for real.
Than work for some shitty...
Well, I tell you what, if we want to talk about financial stuff, and this is actually playing into the very same market we talked about dismantling, but I figured, fuck it still exists. I might try to make some money off of it.
Right.
I've been talking to this guy at work that we'll call the Millerman.
Okay.
And the Millerman has got me hip to trading in stocks.
Mm.
And hopefully, I'm investing very little now, but the way he's doing it is he started with little. But he has gotten, over the course of the last 4 months, every month he's gotten 4% growth on his stocks.
Come on.
So he just reinvests that money back into the stock market. And it's like I was talking to Toe Beans about the other day. She's like, the stock market's risky. And I was like, well, it's like, would you rather me go to the casino with $100 and just play slots and blackjack?
Right.
It's like, because chances are I'm probably going to lose all that money.
It's virtually the same thing, but a little bit less risky. As long as you know when to pull out and what to put into.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not going to be fast and loose with it. I'm going to be picking reliable stocks that don't go up too much or don't go down. Just to have something else going on. Because, I mean, as Bones knows, we all have a couple different irons in the fire when it comes to assets and money.
Right.
And I would also suggest, just as, like I said, this goes with the self-reliance thing, it's not a bad idea to have a savings account.
No.
With some and putting a little bit of cash away.
Whether that's in a bank or somewhere else, like
exactly.
Silver.
Sometimes it may not be as much money into it as another time, but as long as you're continuing to put money into it.
Well, you look at a number of other things that could make one want to kill themselves. I mean, we lived through Uber going public.
Yeah.
Google going public. All these things that we could have put in on and became fabulously wealthy. Or even silver, take it back to old times when we were children and we were spending our allowances on fucking video games and dumb shit. Yeah. We could have been buying silver at $4 an ounce.
Yeah.
And then back in, I think, 2014, it shot up to $50 an ounce.
Yeah.
Here we are.
It's called foresight.
I know. Luckily, we are 30 and not fucking 70 because we still have time.
Oh, we have plenty of time
to activate foresight.
So, and that goes towards the whole self-reliance thing, like investing in markets or just saving money.
Yeah.
Because the thing is like I think we're having to relearn the mistakes that the generation before us did, where they just got themselves in a big collective debt, and people were dying with less than $1,000 in their bank accounts. Like, that's a problem.
Well, what we need to do is come together and make some type of like social security system.
Right.
Where we can put our money in.
Pool all your money in there.
And then it's like a savings account for retirement.
And then when you're old, you pull from it.
Right.
Or you pull from it.
Yeah.
And then the younger folks, they're still pooling into it. So the money would never run out, right?
Especially if the government didn't take it out and use it as a slush fund.
Exactly, right? Because, I mean, that's cool, right? To take somebody's money and then just, we got partisan again.
Why aren't we doing this?
Right?
But, the government's going to take care of you. Don't worry.
Yeah. But, okay, so this is getting towards the end of the show, but there was one more thing. I want to make a little observation before we left you today.
I love observations.
And it's a friendly one. It's a nice one, and it doesn't get dark or grim or anything like that. It's actually very optimistic. Earlier this last week, I was at the Factory of Sadness, and there's a lot of Canadian geese there.
Mm-hmm.
And normally I don't like Canadian geese because I feel like they're a spawn of Satan.
Right.
But I was observing from afar, and their children are nearly as big as they are now. The mother and the father, that is.
Yeah.
How dare I just assume their gender?
I was gonna. We can't do that anymore.
I had to call myself out on that one.
Yeah.
Kink shaming is my kink. Anyways.
Yes.
But so I was watching them, and I noticed that their movements were really peculiar. Like the mother and father, they were on either end, and they were making all their children line up, like in a singular line.
Mm.
And then I'd watch them. The mother and father would not really take their wings all the way out. They kind of like, it's almost like you stick your elbows out kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
They would do that, and then they would goad their children into doing it, and then move forward really swiftly. And then they'd go for a time and then take a swift, sharp turn. And I saw them do this over and over again. And I kept thinking to myself, like, what are they doing? And then I realized what it was. They were teaching them the first steps into flying.
Yeah. Instead of just kicking them out of a tree, telling them to eat a dick.
And it made me feel a little bit of feels in my heart, because I was like, it's interesting to watch parenting from this perspective. I mean, I think humans, we have a different way of going about it, where it takes a lot longer for us. I mean, think about it. Your kid's with you for 18 years, and even then you're not sure. But you're watching this at a much more condensed scale, watching them try to teach their children to fly. And I think, like, in a way, this podcast and the way I do things is like teaching people how to fly. We
need to add value.
Yeah.
You know?
And to another extent, it made me, sometimes I have to get this reaffirmation about the great beyond and what's beyond us. And that was one of those things that kind of was like, okay, I'm back to where I was before. There's definitely something beyond us, because like that right there just proved it to me.
So life is like learning to fly?
Yeah.
We're here learning lessons for our...
We learn lessons, and then we apply those lessons, and then if they don't work, we go back to square one and figure out what we did wrong. And then once it works, and you're flying.
I like it.
And it made me think of raising my son, and there's going to be those times when it's going to be like watching him take off.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about too much, because if there's one subject you'd want to get me on that's going to make me emotional, it would be about my son.
Right.
Because, I mean, I don't know if I talked it too much on the show, and Bones has been through the same thing, but we've both been through trials and tribulations when involved with our children. And we've been in the worst case scenario kind of realm when it comes to their health. And so...
Come out good, though, on the other side.
Yeah, and so for me, at least, when these milestones happen, I'm not going to say I get affected more by them, but it definitely hits me pretty hard.
It's fair to say there are extra feels.
Yeah, because, I don't know if I should talk about this, because, I don't know, when Jim was sick, we were right on the edge of oblivion, and we were so close to losing him. And I think, when I get to see these milestones happen, when I get to see him go to his first day of school and stuff like that, I get reminded that we are, in fact, lucky for what we have.
Yeah,
and feel grateful for it. But
does it make you feel excited every time he paints a poop tree that you can be like,
yeah,
there you go, good job.
Yeah, that's a nice poop tree there, son.
Get in the shower.
Get in it now. But all right, well, I think we're getting the show on that, and I hope you guys like that little positive ending I threw on there.
Yeah.
Because I think the last episode, I want to say it ended up pretty grim.
Yeah, a lot of times it will. I've got a pretty strong, ornate Chinese box that I keep in my chest, and it holds a lot of fucking hatred. Well,
I tell you, in next week's episode, maybe I'll try to find something else cheerful, because if we really are going to do the dark, seedy history about charity organizations, that one's probably not going to be all that happy either.
Well, it could end on a good note, because, like I said, I found a website that is legitimate, and it'll actually rate you the good ones.
So should we just start with the worst and then work our way to the best ones?
It's just easier.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
This one guy, to end on another level of positivity, this guy himself decided that he was, I forget what the exact amount was, but he was like, all right, well, I'm going to make $70,000 a year, and any money I make past that, I'm going to donate to charity. And he's the one that started this website that does the verification. So he's like fully invested in this whole idea of like putting your money to work for society by your own choice. I think that's positive.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, well, I'd like to thank you guys for listening to another episode of Bones and Tubs. You can check us out on Facebook. Send us a topic if you'd like. We do it on the show, just like for Frisbee Thrower and St. Catherine.
The Peterless.
And also, cryptocurrency was kind of given to us by a couple, Nikolai and...
Nikolai.
And who else was there?
Aaron the Red.
Aaron the Red gave us cryptocurrency to kind of go over.
He's mining the Ethereum right now while we're talking.
Right.
Get him.
He's got it.
Get in there.
But well, thank you guys for listening. And like I said, check out Facebook. Check out our website, www.bonesandtubs.com. We have new episodes, comics, stuff like that. Saint Even needs to get on the fucking ball. I'm going to have to call him today and get on his ass.
Just have him come over, and when he comes over, squeeze his nuts.
I'm going to slap the shit out of him.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and check us out on iTunes, iTunes, Beyond Pod, I fucked that up.
Yeah, Stitcher.
And I think I'm going to try to get us associated with some other podcatchers as well, because there's a bunch of others, and I'm going to see if I can get us hooked up with those.
Yeah, the Brohio podcasts, which I listen to.
Yeah, they're on Google Play.
They are. They were talking about that, and I don't know why. I completely didn't even consider Google Play, but
so we're gonna
shout out Brohio podcast, shout out Google Play.
So we're probably going to try to get on a couple more podcatchers, get us out there a little bit more mediums for you guys to listen to us on.
Yeah.
But, thank you guys for listening. We'd like to thank Ryan Simpson for letting us use his music.
We love you.
We love you so much, Ryan.
Beautiful golden-haired angel.
You're such a baby.
Yeah.
All right, well, but yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week, and we hope to see you then.
We love you.
We really do.
With a virus, and life ends as we know it. Perfect in every sense. I know I'll never forget it. Though I breathe the toxic air, I won't let it consume me. Burning skin become my face. Oh well, it doesn't concern me. I have no reason to stay. No spirit to guide my way. No blessed thing to lead me astray. I'm free of shackles today. How it ends, I just can't tell. Though I want so much to know, but I'll be fine forevermore. Wherever I must go, I have no reason to stay. No spirit to guide my way. No blessed thing to lead me astray. I'm free of shackles today. there's nothing left for you and I to prove. And there's nothing we can say or do. And as the sky fades to black from blue, I'm so happy I just can't believe it's true. It's finally true. I'm sorry for breaking your heart. I regret it all. But now that we're at the end of the road, I have to beseech you. Ignore the screams of terror